welcome to my podcast, the Sodcast. Hit the drum, Larry. That's what I thought. Okay, now I don't really know what I'm doing here yet because I just started. And if you're still listening, then thank you so much. Thank you and good luck. God bless. We're all just figuring this out together as a team, you know? Anyway, so I started thinking, what do I even talk about? That is why I have my laptop here right now, like with all the key points written down in my pages. And yeah, I did I did not want to start off like super deep and super serious talking about like this is my philosophy on this topic, like this is my story, this is how life goes. No, I don't want to start that way right away. But all that stuff, it just feels so heavy. So I feel like this podcast should feel more like a, a long ass voice note from your best friend living away or just right next to you. That's when I started thinking, what's the one thing that everybody has, but no one really wants to ever talk about? Embarrassing stories. Embarrassing stories, especially embarrassing childhood stories. Once when I thought like, oh, I'm gonna talk about like embarrassing childhood memories and all that, I was like, bingo. So today we're here and I'm going to try and recollect as as many of mine as I can. So these are the moments that literally haunt me at 3 a.m. when I'm trying to fall asleep, moments that I think about for too long that make me want to like jump out of the window. So yeah, buckle in. It's gonna get weird and it's probably gonna get a little you could probably get secondhand embarrassment from the stories. Okay, let's start. Let's start from the very beginning. You know what? I'm not even going to look into my notes because I want this to be as authentic as it could get. Now we're going to go to the beginning. The earliest memory of my childhood embarrassment is probably a show, like a play that I did when I was in primary school. And I talked about this on my Instagram reel and also on my TikTok. But this story was like way back. I think I was in third, fourth, fifth, I don't know, one of those grades. And that school was like a primary school. So we only had to like fifth grade. And we were told that there's going to be a school play. And I was like, mm-hmm. So we were told that. But the thing is, I missed school day on the day they were taking auditions. So I was not present during the day. And all of that happened, right? I was absent. So the next day I go to school, everybody's like, I'm going to play this. I'm going to play that. And then my best friend goes, I'm going to play the witch. And I was like, not gonna lie, a little bit jealous. I was like, because I always had a thing to play like a villain, like that kind of role. And then my other friends, they're like, we're the dancers. And then my cousin, he's like, I'm a villager. Great. What am I? What am I? So I go up to like the people who made the show. I was like, so what am I? They were not exactly our teachers, exactly. They were more like visitors who wanted to do the play in our school. So I went up to them and I was like, can I know what I am? Like, what can I be? And they're like, let's see. You could be the crocodile. I was like, you know what? Let me take my chances. I was like, all right. I said, I. And then they're like, Or you could also be the puppet. I was still like, all right, I can do both. I can do both. And I took both. I took both the responsibilities of being a crocodile and a puppet. And then we had our rehearsals, we had like all that stuff going on, the preparations of it all. And I clearly remember like when we were doing our preparations and rehearsals and stuff, I remember me practicing to crawl as a crocodile, and I would look up and then I could see my friends just, rehearsing for real. I could see my best friend there, like trying to trying her best to be the witch, and I would see my friends trying to be the best dancers. I could see my cousin being the villager and stuff, but I was there on the ground, crawling my ass out, just trying my best to be the perfect crocodile. Because I always had a thing to perform, I always wanted to give my best. But I was like, cool, cool, it's okay, it's okay. It's alright, it's alright. So now, the day of the play. And before the day of the play, they go, all the crocodiles tomorrow bring in brown pants and brown shirts. And I'm like, alright, okay. And then I go back home and I realize I don't have brown pants. And then my aunt comes through. My auntie be there like, I got brown pants. And I'm like, thank you. You really came through. And then without even trying it on, without even thinking twice, I pack it up, put it in my bag, and I'm like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to take this pair of pants. And then the next day, the main day of the play, I get to school and I try the pants on, and they're just too loose. I'm not even talking about like 1 or 2 inches loose, but like loose. I don't specifically remember who like tried to tighten it. I vaguely remember somebody trying like a rope or something around my waist to tighten the pants up. Whatever. So the play starts. Mind you, my family members, my cousins, everybody was there, right? And the stage was not even like up there. The stage was below, where the audience would be up here and they would be viewing it from this point of view. You get it, right? So they were watching it from this high angle. And then I hear, cue crocodiles out. I start crawling. In my head, I'm thinking, no, I got a rope that's securing my pants. I start crawling and crawling, and as I crawl, I could feel a breeze of fresh air through my butt crack. And I was like, ain't no way that people are seeing my butt crack, right? And then as I was crawling, I reached my arm to my pants and I felt it. I just knew that like everybody saw my butt crack. Then I started crawling whilst pulling my pant, while crawling, pulling my pant, crawling, pulling my pant. And I could hear people just like, no, just kidding. They didn't say, no, but that's when I was like, I am never going to forget this. And I was correct because to this day, I still remember that moment, like exactly how I remembered it. Now, now we move on to the next embarrassing moment of my life. This would be probably seventh grade, probably. Okay, now this is when I moved schools because the previous school that I went to, that was a primary school. So it was just up to like fifth grade. So now the new school that I went to, they had a swimming pool. They had a swimming pool and everything. It was like a big school. And the only reason I joined that school was because I heard that like they had a swimming pool and everything. And I told my parents like, I want to go to this school because they have a swimming pool. And then, okay, fine. I went there. I joined the swimming team and everything because I was always like really interested in swimming and stuff. And then seventh grade, seventh grade, I remember I was in this school swim team. And we used to have once a week, was it once a week? I don't really remember, but we had like swim classes once a week. Let's just say once a week. And this one class, okay, backstory. So the swimming coach would always be like, always bring a one piece swimsuit. Don't ever bring two piece. And I always thought, like, who would? But then this one swim class, I could not find my one piece swimsuit. And I just carried like a two piece swimsuit. Not like a bikini, but it was more like a two piece that the top would go down to my hips and the bottom was like shorts. So I carried that, right? I don't even know if I can talk about it. But okay. So I was on my lane. And then they go like lane number 2, lane number 3, you know. And once he got to my lane and I dived, the bottom part of my swimsuit just slipped right off when I dived. Because when you dive with your hands and your head first. So my bottom came off. And as long as I can remember, I remember like once I dived in and I could feel my bottom coming off. I remember going underwater, like deep, deep down into the water. And the pool that we had in school, that was like 9 feet. I think it was 9 feet, yeah. I remember going so deep down that I could touch like the floor of it. When I saw like the surface of the water, I remember thinking, I'm not coming back up there because they saw my butt. Because you're swimming with your friends. When you're in middle school, you overthink everything that, like, it's the end of the world. So when I saw the surface of the water and like after I pulled my pants off, I was like, ain't no way I'm going back up there. But I had to because I couldn't breathe. So I went back up there, right? And when I took my head out of the water, I was like, probably nobody saw it. Then the swimming coach goes, how many times do I gotta tell y'all that y'all gotta wear one piece swimsuit? That's when I thought, he saw my sparkly, sparkly, squeaky bum. Because he said that. And you know what the most annoying thing is? It was not just that. When I came back up the water, I could feel like a big lump of snot coming out of my nose. Because when I came out of the water, I could just feel it right here on my lip. And I was like, he probably saw that too. Now we're going to move on. Okay. So now we move on to the next embarrassing story. Now, this is probably eighth grade. And I used to weigh way much more, like 50 pounds more, like 25 kilos more than what I am right now. And that was when, like, my close friends, they, like, everybody started drifting apart. Like, one of them went to New York, one of them went to India, one of them, like, joined the boarding and everything and blah, blah, blah. So I was kind of almost like alone, right? And that was when I was a little bit more, I shifted into being more introverted. I remember like one day when I came back to class, it was after lunch break, and I came back to class, and this was in eighth grade. With eighth grade, it was like if if my classroom was right here, the seniors would be right here, right? It was like this L shaped thing. So if my class was here, the seniors were right here. And I get this one note, like a letter or something inside my desk, and it was like a love confession, all right? It was a love confession. And at that time, I was thinking, like, really? Me? Like, I'm not even all that, because I've never gotten that. And then I read it out, and it's like, they're talking about, like, oh, your favorite color is this, and your best friend is this person, and your favorite food is this, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, like, somebody noticed me, you know? And then I see like a bunch of like senior guys outside of my classroom laughing. I think it was a prank. I believe it was a prank because they were laughing when I was reading that letter. And that's when I thought, like, oh. And I also clearly remember me taking the letter and I was trying to act so cool, like, because those were the days when we used to watch like Disney movies and stuff. So I used to act so cool. I took that letter and right in front of them, I was like, this was like a literal Disney movie. I just took it and I just looked at them. I was like, internally, I was like, what you gonna do? Laugh at me. And then I remember running down to the toilet. And okay, now suppose this was the classroom, this was a senior's room. I was here, I took the letter, I ran down through the corridor, I went to the toilet, and I flushed that thing inside the toilet. And I was like, ain't nobody gonna prank me. Because those were the days when I only cared about food. For some reason, I don't know why. The only thing that I like always looked forward to was like the bell ringing and me rushing to get out of the school bus and get food. And I used to get like, I'm not even making this up. You could fact check me on this one. You could like reach out to my cousins. You could reach out to my family members and ask them. I would eat after school 2 freaking burgers. I'm not even joking. Like 2 burgers. I would get 2 burgers and then go home and then watch like cartoons and stuff and then finally do my homework and then dread for the next day. That was literally my entire school life. And even if I ever heard that like somebody had like a crush on me, I would always just be there like, no, they don't. Nah, no, they don't. But no, that was all cool. That was all cool. I do have way more, but I don't even remember like how long has it been? It's already been too long. But yeah, you know what my next podcast is going to be? My weight loss journey. The way after I lost weight and I gained more confidence and I had like guys hitting me up being like, I fancy you. I want to talk about that. So that's going to be the next part. Are y'all ready? Of course, y'all are ready. You better be ready. So let me know. Let me know if you guys want to see that. Comment down below. So excited to see y'all. I'm so happy I started this because this feels like a therapy session. This honestly feels like a therapy session and I'm loving it. So, yeah, the next episode would drop like probably like 3 to 4 days after this. Probably. Okay. So, yeah, make sure to write down your stories and everything because one of the days I might as well just read them. And yeah, subscribe, comment, like, and what else? What else? Follow me on my Instagram, on my TikTok. They're all just Lhakyila. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to podcast, the podcast.